Sea Horizon is Eastasiasoft's newest release on the Nintendo Switch. This roguelike turn-based RPG is one of those releases that really caught me by surprise, and just how interesting the mechanics meld into each other so well and provide tons of replayability, which is a key factor in these type of genres. To start out, you have access to 3 out of 10 total soul characters to enjoy. Each one of them has their very own unique skills and enchants, which make their gameplay vary significantly, not just amongst one another, but also in which active skills you choose to apply to each one of them. Each one of these warriors has their very own story to take down that introduce their backstory and their trials and tribulations and what they've endured on these Forsaken Isles. So just for starters, you have 10 separate about hour or so long story sections for each one of the characters that does a great job representing not just how they play, but also provide more than enough of a challenge to stand up on its own. Alongside the story mode, you also have a dungeon mode, which tosses you into a challenge section where you can choose up to 3 of the currently unlocked heroes and set off to survive as long as possible and take down the big boss at the end. I would say that this is more reserved for when you've actually gotten a good grasp of the game's mechanics, which I'll be talking about in a bit. Lastly, you have a free exploration mode where you're tossed into a randomly generated map and off you go. Each one of these contains something of a standalone story and is actually harder than the dungeon mode, since it's even greater variety of monsters and area to explore. I want to make this extremely clear, this is no Slay the Spire clone, but you will see plenty of similarities in the way the game uses some of the progression and especially the combat sequences. When you start your run, you'll see a hexagonal grid from a bird's eye view where you move through the tiles to your next location. You need to keep an eye out on your food consumption as each movement spends on your reserves. The maps are littered with enemy encounters, temples to get buffs from, shops to spend gold on, and randomly assorted events. When doing the story mode, it's highly suggested that you explore around since you're given plenty of food. But in the exploration and dungeon modes, you need to be more careful. You can also restock your supplies and gain more food for exploration and certain bonfires, but you have to find them first. Combat is turn-based, and on the bottom you'll have access to all of your character skills, and each one of them has a cost on the upper left and a number of times you can use them on the upper right. As long as you have the currency to spend, you can use said skills. Currency resets on each turn, and you gain it by using dice rolls. Each piece of gear you have equipped has a dice number allotted to it. The rarer the gear, the more dice rolls it has, and each turn you roll as many dice as your gear stacks. It may take a bit to get used to at first, but once you understand the basics, it's easy to understand. Each dice has a 6-sided option, so you can roll anything from 5 different currencies. Sword is damage, mist is magic, shield is defense, and leaf is heals, generally speaking. Your dice rolls can also land on an X, which is nothing, so you don't get any currency for that specific roll. Or based on your setup, you can actually gain passives that take advantage of not getting any currency on a specific turn roll. Ultimately, all of the dice rolls happen at the beginning of a turn, and your currency for that turn is set to spend on the aforementioned skills. Supplementing all of this is the fact that gear you equip also have passive boosters that will trigger a wide variety of things. For example, if you roll 2 dice with no currency, then you gain extra defense. Or if you do 2 magic attacks, you gain strength bonus. Even more, each of the characters also has their own enchantments to stack on bonuses on certain combinations of skilled use. These enchantments are gained whenever you level up, and of course, each run the level resets. So when you're doing a fresh run and you level up, you can unlock up to 3 different skills and a new way to play to test out different builds. That may all sound like a lot to take in, but in truth, is that once you have a few runs under your belt, the fun is not just discovering the new characters you unlock by completing the story mode with the previous character you had access to, but also seeing which new skills and combinations you could come up with to crush your enemies, which there are plenty of. The enemy variety here is good, and there's also plenty of areas to explore. They all offer this low poly look that gives this game a unique aesthetic. If you happen to die on a random enemy or even a boss, you're given the option to instantly restart that encounter in the story mode, so it's not very punishing in that regard. But if you wish to start again from the very beginning, you're given the choice to start out with a passive booster that can carry you to make things much easier. This game encourages experimentation while also letting you see how hard it gets in other modes. Sea Horizon runs extremely well on the Nintendo Switch, both in handheld and in dock, and the text is just right on the Switch Lite for those who are always wondering if the text is too small in some games. Sea Horizon really surprised me not just with what it has to offer, but also how intricate things can get, which is a great addition to an already stacked roguelike genre, which just has enough things going for it to stand up on its own. Nintendo Sphere gives Sea Horizon on the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!